Hey guys, good morning. Good morning. Daily Nugget time. First, I just want to say, let's be grateful today. It's a beautiful day. Hopefully, your family's happy, healthy, and wealthy. And in the morning, you need to be grateful. I'll get into one of those in a different Daily Nugget. Today, I was just at the gym, and don't mind the sun coming up over here. Well, I'm not complaining. For those of you that don't know, I live in Aruba in the Caribbean. It's just beautiful this time of year. Um, I was in the gym, and so this is a little bit of a continuation on the goals yesterday. And I'm not going to talk too much about them. Like if you don't have your goals set by next week, then you're not going to have them set, and then that's going to really roll into your whole year. Like you need to be hitting the ground running. So this is great. I wish I knew this before I created my goals and my affirmations, but I didn't. So I'm going to share it with you guys. Actually, I'll share the screen, and then I'm going to put this in the link below after I post this. But I wanted to shout out to Brad at the gym. But this is a prompt that you can give Chat GPT to help you with your goals. I'll read it out loud here, but it's also here. I want to create my goal and vision for 2025. Please guide me through this process by asking me 10 questions one by one. And when I'm done answering the 10th question, please write my dream life story for 2025, what my 2025 affirmation will be, and then my top five goals broken down by family, money, body, and life. I think that's just ridiculously fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you, Brad, for giving that to me. I'm going to put it in there. I'm not going to redo my goals, but I'll certainly use that next year. And that's just amazing. So I wanted to share that with you guys. Um, so today I thought a little bit of, I was watching the PBD podcast, which is like one of my favorite, Patrick Bet David, yesterday. And they're talking about insurance and taxes and just insurance in California and Florida, how much is and insurance is going up, and people can't afford houses just because of the insurance. So it got to me thinking about something I always talk about, but a lot of you guys you're not following me all the time. So your primary residence, the house that you're going to live in, it has been traditionally for 70, 80 years. People have said that you want to own your own home, and you hear all the time that you're throwing money away when you're paying rent. This is absolute bullshit. If you are in a market, like I'll give you the average in California, and I'm obviously not from California, but I have students in California. The average price of a home in California is $800,000, and you can rent it for like $3,500, right? Now, actually, I'll do the math on the fly here. Um, so, how much would a mortgage be for an 800,000? That thing doesn't want to work, but I'm going to go on. I have a loan amortization up all the time. So let's see how much is a mortgage on an $800,000 house. Let's say and if you, well, let's say you get a you don't put any money down, $800,000 house. It's $5,300. That's just the principal and interest at 7% interest rate, right? So it's $5,300. Now the property taxes could be, let's say they're at low 6,000. So that's another 500 or 58. Insurance, they're talking about eight, nine, $10,000 in some, but let's say insurance is reasonable, four or $5,000. Let's say that. You're at $6,300 to buy an $800,000 house when you can rent it for $3,500. It does not make sense to buy that house. Matter of fact, if you want to spend $6,000, go rent a ridiculous house. And for those of you that say, well, you're throwing your money away. No, you're not. So let's say same house, $800,000 house, you're going to pay $6,300, and you're going to rent one for $3,500. You can take the extra $3,000 a month and invest it. As a matter of fact, what I would do is I would go buy, and you guys know I love these $100,000 houses. I would go buy, several $100,000 houses that can, three of them, and you could put no mortgage on them if you have the cash, or you could finance it. And whatever rental income you get from that, you can supplement your rent. You can almost live for free. And you do have an asset that's going to go up in value, either for inflation or appreciation. So you still have a house, but you have a house that makes sense. So what normally would happen if you're not like getting an FHA loan, I'm just going to go in here, is an $800,000 house. Maybe you got to put 10% down. So that's $70,000. Let's say you got to put 20% down. It's 140. So you're going to finance 660,000. So your payments only going to be 4,300 plus taxes plus insurance. It's 5,300. So you're going to save 2,000 by renting, but you have $140,000. Let's say I can show you assets that have $140,000 that with $140,000 can spin off, 1,500 a month in rent. So let's say after taxes and insurance there, you got 1,200. So quickly, you can take a 3,500 a month in rent. You can go buy an asset with the same 140,000, and you can supplement that 3,500 minus the 1,200 you're getting from the rental, and you're paying $2,300 to live in the same house. And you have an asset that's going up in value. And for those of you that say, well, you can buy all these cheap houses, but they don't go up in value. For a lot of you guys know that I really like Cleveland. I'm buying a lot in Cleveland. I have a lot of students that are buying in Cleveland. If you go and I can, maybe I'll do this on a daily nugget. I can show you. There's software that you could just go and look by county. What's the year over year growth? Almost in all of Cleveland, right? The lowest is 7%, right? The highest in some of the places, just luckily that some of my students have bought and I've bought, it's 16%. So you're buying houses for $100,000 and they're appreciating at 16%. Now go tell me like a place like Nashville, everybody loves Nashville. Actually one of my students said, I think I want to buy something in Nashville because I'm looking for appreciation too, not just cash flow. Well, guess what? Nowhere was over 1% appreciation. So you're getting higher appreciation, better cash flow in Cleveland. So I don't want to make this about Cleveland, but what I do want you guys to know is it doesn't always make sense for you to buy a home. It does make sense for you to buy a home if a couple of reasons. Let's say you're in a market where the mortgage principal and interest is going to be the same as rent. Then guess what? If you're going to pay $3,500 for a mortgage and $3,500 for rent, yes, you are throwing money away if you don't buy the house, right? So that's one. Another one is, and people are in different seasons of their lives. So if you're just building up your cash, you got to conserve that cash. You got to invest it, and it needs to. What's the word here? It needs to accelerate, right? Especially in the beginning. Even if you started late, you need to get that cash to accelerate. But if you're sitting on cash, then you should buy a house. You shouldn't leave it in the bank. Even if the house doesn't make sense, like the math I said, it still makes more sense than leaving it in the bank. In the bank, you lose money. If you get 5% interest and inflation is 3%, you only made 2%. If you put it in a house and it's going up 10%, then 10% minus the 2% inflation, you're making 8%. So it doesn't always make sense. I'm not saying it doesn't. It always makes sense not to, but it doesn't always make sense. And especially in these expensive states, you shouldn't be buying the house that you live in. Buy yourself a beautiful penthouse, a house on the beach, or rent one is what I'm saying. The math might make more sense, and buy some rental property. So hope that got, I'm only doing nuggets here, guys. So hope that helps. Have the best day of your life and a great weekend. I'll see if I can do these on the weekend too. Thanks, guys.